You don't get any badges for making your life more difficult. You don't get badges for choosing the more difficult route in your life. I think as women, we have this pressure to do everything. We have to keep our house perfectly clean all the time, keep our bodies constantly in shape, have our hair always done, have our nails done, be extremely naturally beautiful, show up to work and give 150% every single day, be there for ourselves, be there for our friends, be there for our families. And sometimes we don't think to make our lives easier and more convenient. We don't think about just buying the crock pot just so we can make our lives easy. We don't think about meal delivery services. We don't think about having someone to come and clean our house for us. We think we have to be superwoman and do everything all the time. And I just want to let you know, you do not have to choose the more difficult way. You don't have to work extremely hard at everything in your life. At one point in time, it was normal for middle class families to have someone to help them in the home. How did we all of a sudden get this expectation that we were supposed to be able to do everything perfectly, everything all the time, and keep everything clean by ourselves? So it's okay to choose the easy route to make it easier for yourself. It's okay to not stress about everything. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to have help. It's okay to have support systems in your life that make it easier and possible for you to do what you do. We tend to think that only the rich people have support, and we get into these jobs, especially as women in corporate environments. We get into these jobs and make all this money, and we never think to get help. We never think to create systems for ourselves where people can help us, things can help us. We don't want to take the shortcuts in life. We haven't been given the opportunity to take shortcuts in life, so it's not native to us. But I simply want you to stop thinking about it as a shortcut and start thinking about what's easiest for me so I can show up the way that I want to in the areas that matter to me. It's not realistic for you to give 150% in every single area of your life. And if you can do it with ease, then keep on doing it with ease. But for the girls who are struggling, it's okay to say, I can't do it. And it doesn't mean I'm less intelligent or less competent. It just means that you need support systems in your life, and we all do. If I think of all the things that I'm responsible for in a day, sometimes I just get overwhelmed and stressed thinking about just my list of things to do, the people I need to help, the people I need to check up on, the promises that I've made when people asked me for help and I said that I would help. And what helps me is to recognize I don't have to have it all together all the time. Sometimes I don't wake up early in the morning and I just need to sleep in. Sometimes I need to call someone to help me organize or clean up something because I'm just tired. Sometimes at work, I have to cancel meetings on my calendar for the day just so I can have the day to get actual things done and I'm not sitting in meetings all day. Sometimes I have to let people fail and say that they'll figure it out and they'll come to me when they need help. Sometimes we have to recognize that our energy is important, the things we pay attention to are important, and we can't give 150% on everything because you know what happens? We neglect ourselves. This is why so many women have a hard time just getting up and going to the gym or even eating a healthy meal because they want to do what's convenient on the things that actually are the most important, which is taking care of you. When you feel overwhelmed constantly, then you don't take care of yourself. You don't choose what's best for you. You don't choose what's best for you. And I realize that taking care of you, taking care of myself, that is a full-time job. Taking care of me goes beyond having my hair done or getting my nails done or even being a certain weight. It's about health. It's about vitality. It's about when I wake up in the morning and I feel good. It's about making sure that my health is intact because I want to be here for a long time and I want to have an energy for things that matter, like having children or taking care of my family or even being able to do the things that I love. So sometimes our priorities get misaligned because society tells us to show up 150% everywhere, not realizing that it's literally impossible to do so. When you show up 150% everywhere else, what gets neglected in the process? And especially for the women who are higher up, they're in leadership positions. They're not in just a normal 9-to-5 situation where they go to work, they close the chapter in the laptop and they never think about it. Not those women. The women who are forced to be in positions where they're working long hours, or they even have family that have a lot of needs, or even if your friends have a lot of needs, because that can happen as well. I've been there where I had the wrong friends in my life and they constantly needed me and I just never had a chance to recharge to myself. And sometimes we can end up being self sacrificial because we feel good because we're killing it at work and we're great friends and we're great to our family or in a relationship and we're great to our partners, but we're not good to ourselves. You deserve the love that you give everything else. You deserve to give that love back to you. So you don't get a badge for choosing the most difficult way possible. Your energy, your time, your resources are limited and important, and you decide what gets the most of your attention. So at some point, you're going to have to cut the cord and set the boundaries with these things in your life. You're going to have to say, I don't have the time and energy here, but they need to be done. So how do I delegate these things? Yeah, I'm using corporate language, but how do I give these things to other people? How do I create resources? Maybe I need to hire someone to come clean my house every 2 weeks because I just have a very hard time keeping things clean. Or maybe I just need to pay someone to take care of this task because it's easier for me and I don't have to think about it. Maybe it's just easier for me to do it this way. I had to finally get over my own frustration. I live in California and I'm one of those health conscious people. Even though I'm not thin, I'm a very health conscious person. And I had this thing in my head that everything that I ate had to be made because you didn't know what was in the food and you don't trust everything. So I was always very suspicious of eating food at restaurants or foods in my own house. And I know, trust me, I was not a pain to other people. But I wouldn't even buy things like store-bought bread because I refused to make myself a sandwich because I was like, I can't eat store-bought meat. I can't eat store-bought cheeses from these places. I can't eat store-bought bread because it's just not healthy for you. And everything I had to buy had to be from specific places and specific ingredients and organic, and it had to just be made a certain way. And I had to research the company, and it made grocery shopping not fun for me. And I love to cook. But it got to the point where I just got frustrated and I just started ordering from places that I knew I could trust, like a Mendocino Farms or a Goop Kitchen. And I was spending so much money, but I was missing the cooking. It's like, I just want to cook. I just want to have foods that I can make in my house. And one day I just went to Whole Foods and I said, you know what? I'm really tired. I don't want to be grocery shopping here forever. And I'm only here to pick up a few things. And I bought bread, cheese, and meat. They were still organic. They still were processed a certain way. And I got home and I just made myself a sandwich. And I remember sitting there thinking how I refused to just make myself a sandwich. That I can't even remember the last time I ate a sandwich in my house without it being a particular way. And how I just, simple sandwich, just mustard, mayonnaise, lettuce, meat, cheese, bread. And I remember sitting there and I took a deep breath and I was just like, it took me 25 minutes to grocery shop. It took me 5 minutes to make a sandwich. And this whole time I've been like, what am I going to eat? Because I can't eat this and I can't eat that. And I made life so hard for myself. And I didn't even recognize it. We do these things where we make life hard on ourselves. So just ask yourself, where am I choosing the hard path that I don't have to? Where do I realistically have the resources? I had to check myself. I said, oh, you can spend $150 here. You can pay $100 to have somebody come do this task and instead not do that thing that's not useful to you. Or realistically, you don't need any more makeup. I know you like to try different things, but then it sits in a box in your bathroom in the cabinet and you just like never touch it. So maybe get rid of some of that and stop buying makeup. You don't need another jacket. You don't need another pair of boots from Target, or you don't need another Christmas tree or Christmas decoration that you're buying, or you don't need another furniture piece. You don't need another thing. What you need is support. So I had to work to create those support systems for myself. I'm in the middle of creating those support systems for myself, and I encourage you to do the same. Your stress is only going to work against you. Feeling like you're juggling things always is going to work against you. Running 100 miles a minute is going to work against you. Not giving yourself proper support systems is going to work against you. When you're young and you're thinking, I should feel better than this, or 5 years ago, I felt like I had more energy, or things are happening, or I was just chatting with a coworker about this who's become a friend, and we both talked about how being at jobs making us literally physically sick, or the physical signs of stress are manifesting in our bodies, and how that's just normal to us, and how we've had to take a step back and say, this is not okay, and get out of this environment and seek to get out of this environment actively just because of how bad it has been. You don't get a badge of honor by stressing yourself out. You don't have to endure the pain. And specifically for my Black women, sometimes, or you think about, what previous generations endured, and you think, well, my mom dealt with all this and she could deal with it, I can deal with it, or my grandma dealt with this, or as a Black person, there's a conviction that there's so many people who worked really hard to be able to give you the opportunity to be where you are today. And so we feel like hard work is a part of our blood and our bones, and then we just stress ourselves out to capacity. And I think if those older Black people could speak to us now, the ones who have sacrificed so much, they would say, no, don't stress yourself out the way that I did. I did it because I had to. You don't have to, but you're choosing to. Each generation sacrifices to allow the next generation to have easier access and life of ease. And this can be easily said also for immigrants. Yes, it's a blessing to do something with what you have been given and to recognize and honor the people who've come before you. But at the end of the day, you don't have to wear burden and struggle as a badge because someone else had it harder than you. So I'm not saying don't be ambitious or don't strive for excellence, because I certainly will continue to do so. But do I have to choose the hardest path in everything I do? I don't. And some things at the end of the day are just not that serious. And at the end of the day, you can exercise and stay thin, and you can look as pretty as you want to at your job. But if you are stressed out and you're noticing pain in your body, you're having anxiety attacks, you can't even keep your food down, or you're constantly thinking about food because it's a way distracting from your stress, or you are constantly tired, but you're young and trying to figure life out. And even if you're not young, if you're still alive, you're young, by the way. If that's where you're at, then you're missing the point. You're not supposed to give 150% to everything, even though you can. Yes, you're excellent. Yes, you're amazing. Yes, you're smart. Yes, you're hardworking. Yes, you do what needs to be done. You get it done. You're reliable. You're capable. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And that's a philosophy I have learned to adopt in my life. Just because I can does not mean that I should. And I have started to actively say no. And yeah, you're going to notice sometimes people are going to be weird towards you. Sometimes a job might be surprised at you. This is the person we used to be able to go to for anything. We could put anything on our plate and she'll figure it out and get it done. And now she's like, this is my role. This is what I'm responsible for. And I can do this, but you have to recognize me and pay me for this, because I'm sacrificing something by taking on all this additional if I'm not getting what I want out of the situation. She's starting to say on the weekends that I'm going on do not disturb. What do you mean? She was always easily accessible. I could always call her. She said, no, I can't come over. I'm used to her always saying, yeah, hurry up and come over. And she's running around her house scrambling to get things together because she was really tired and she slept in. And now last minute she has a change. She's starting to say, no, I'm not helping those people because they don't want to help themselves. And I keep overextending myself while they're staying in the same position. She's got a cleaning service. She has someone else clean her car. She pays for them to come to her and come clean it because she just doesn't have the time to go out of her way. She might say, I want to go to the grocery store, but I don't have time. So she enters the cart and she gave a healthy tip to the person who shopped her order just to say thank you. She's not taking on all the responsibility by herself anymore. She's not overburdening herself anymore. She's not being stressed out all the time. She's not trying to figure everything out. Or for some of you, to control everything. Yeah. There is a life that's different than the life you're living, in a life where you work and wake up and your mind is filled with peace. And I want us to go get that. So just a reminder, you don't get badges for taking the most difficult path possible, for taking the hard way out. You don't get a badge for taking the hard road. You are an amazing, capable human being, but you have limited time, limited resources. And why live your entire life full of stress, taking on everything when you don't have to? You need to be able to have room to build you, to love on you, to take care of you. And the thing is, life is not going to give you that room. You've got to fight for it. Anytime you give your energy towards something, you are sacrificing something else. So realize and ask yourself, if you haven't realized, what are you sacrificing to live the way that you're living now? I love you. God bless you. May He cover you and protect you, speak to you, and may you experience God's peace and rest. In Jesus' name, we'll talk soon. Bye.